Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshu Militanjena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Drapayano Varahakatara Ajuhava Puteti Tan Mayataya Tadavo Binedus Tam Savabhutam Hridayam Munimanatasmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaivanarottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vina Parada Lakshai Kiptashtakamari Tarangamadye Pipamai Tvam Sharanam Prapanda Prende Namaste Charanarvindam Tave Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike. And this is a verse that Gurudev would chant during this month. Anga Shamalima Chatabir Abito Mandikendi Divaram Jadyam Jagutaro Chisam Vidadatam Pratam Barasya Shriya Vrindaranya Vilasinam Hrilasadama Biramodaram Radha Skandani Veshito Jvalabhujam Jaye Madamodaram Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhube Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we'll continue reading from Sri Damodarastam. Yesterday we read the first verse, and we also read the commentary of Sri Sanatana Gosvami. And now we're going to begin with the Digdarshini Vrtti, the commentary which reveals the commentary or illuminates the commentary of Sri Sanatana Goswami. And the verse is Namami Shadam Sachitananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Jashoda Bioluka Ladavamanam Paramishtamantyan Tato Dhrutya Gopya. I worship the Supreme Controller, whose form is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. Upon his cheeks, makara-shaped earrings are swinging, and he shines most brilliantly in Gokul. Running away from the grinding water in great fear of Mother Jashoda, he was ultimately caught from behind. So, Gurudev explains, let me just brighten this up a little bit. Let's get this a little brighter. Displays. Yeah. Whew, okay. And make it a little bigger. Okay. How do I move this? Oh, that's no good. Wait a minute. Just a moment. Please have patience. There we go. Oh, lost my place here. There we go. So, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj says, and we offer obeisance, of course, to our beloved Diksha Guru, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to our beloved Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, and all of the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. So, in his commentary, Srila Gurudev says, in order to glorify his worshipful Lord, Sri Krishna, and hopeful of obtaining his most cherished desire, Sri Satyavat Muni starts his prayer with Mangalacharana, an auspicious invocation, beginning with the word namami. Okay. Whoops. Beginning with the word namami. Invocations of auspiciousness are of three types. This is important. This is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So this Mangalacharana, three types. Those which offer respects, those which point out the subject being discussed, and those which grant a benediction. Right? Three types: offering respect, pointing out the subject being discussed, and those which grant a benediction. Here, the sage invokes auspiciousness by first offering his respects through the word namami, and then continues his Mangalacharana by indicating the subject being discussed. Ishvara. So he starts with namami and then namam Ishvaram. Now the subject. Ishvara. Sri Krishna is the original Lord, Ishvara, of all lords. Sri Shukadeva Goswami provides the evidence for this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Ete chanksakalak pungsa Krishna stu bhagavan swayam indradi vyakulam lokam hridayanti juge yuge. Among the incarnations described in the preceding verses, some are expansions of the Purush avatar, Karnava Shahi Mahavishnu, and some are Avesh avatars. This is the end of the third chapter of the first canto, and prior to this, the major avatars and incarnations have been discussed. And then he gives this verse. So out of all of these, right, these incarnations descend in each age to protect the world when it is tormented by the demons. However, Brajendranandan Sri Krishna, the son of the king of Braj, is Swayam Bhagavan, the only form of Bhagavan with no other source than himself. He is the original, primeval personality, and Mahavishnu is his expansion. We might want to close that because it's going to be rather cold tonight. It's going to get into the 30s. So we're going to... Sri Brahma, the original guru for our sampradaya, states in his prayers, Ishvara Paramakrishnaha Satchitananda Vigraha Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That's the very first verse of that Brahma Samhita, of which we only have the 5th chapter. Apparently there were 100 chapters, and Mahaprabhu was in South India, and he found this one in an old famous Padmanabha temple. So the translation is, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord and Master of all other lords, and he is the embodiment of pure eternal existence, full knowledge, and unlimited bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda, for he has no beginning or origin, as he himself is the source of everything, including all the incarnations of Vishnu and all his empowered servitors. He is the ultimate cause of all consequent causes. So this is whom Satyavat Muni is addressing and honoring. Namam Ishwaram Satchitananda Rupam. So Sri Krishna is the Lord of the masters of creation who are worshipped by the whole world. And he is the origin of all incarnations. Now here's the puzzling part. Because even though he is the Lord of all these majestic and magnificent incarnations, however, in Braj, he offers respects to his father, Nanda Baba, Mother Jashoda, and his other elders. He becomes blissful when he loses the games he plays with his friends, and when he eats their remnants and feeds them his own. Even when he is defeated again and again in the assembly of the gopis, he considers it his great fortune. It was because of his own desire to obtain the pleasing association of the beautiful damsels of Braj that he called them at the time of Rasa Leela. They did not call him. This Sri Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda, pure eternal existence, full knowledge, and unlimited bliss. Right, and we're going to hear more and more about this amazing concept of Krishna's Leela, enjoying being defeated, right, being chastised, offering respects, because in this way he tastes the full variety of loving exchange. Unlike this world, everything there is done in absolute love and joy. And the amazing thing is that by his desire to taste this infinite variety of Leela, Yogamaya covers even him. By his own desire, his own energy covers him so that he can taste it. Just like his devotees, they don't understand his Bhagavata, that he is the Supreme Lord. It comes up time to time, but it's quickly submerged. Also, sometimes he's aware of it, obviously, but other times he's completely immersed in these relationships and gets to taste it unimpeded. He's not just acting, he's in this. Sat means existence. Sri Krishna's inherent nature is that he exists as a fresh youth who is the best of dancers. His extremely charming form as a tender youth is even more attractive than Dwarkadish, the form of Sri Krishna when he resides in Dwarka. It is only because Sri Krishna's original form, Brajendranandan, exists that all other lords, as well as the whole world, have their existence. Chit means that knowledge which manifests all relationships, sambandha, and permanent spiritual emotions, bhav. That's important. This is our definition of the Chit Shakti, right? Means knowledge, but it means what kind of knowledge? What is my relationship with Krishna? And what are the associated spiritual emotions that go with it? And this is what Jivadharma, Ujjvala Nilamani obviously, but Jivadharma explains it for us. When you have your Sthayi Bhav as a servant, as a friend, as a parent, as a beloved, that's going to control what kind of emotions and relationship of loving service you have with Sri Krishna. And so Chit is the basis of that. Who am I? What is my identity? And what is my relationship with Krishna and everyone else? And what are the emotions that accompany our relations together? As Bhav condenses, it gradually progresses through the progressive stages. It gradually passes through the progressive stages of Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, and Bhav, and finally transforms into Mahabhav. Mahabhav is Sri Radha herself. She is therefore known as Mahabhav Swarupini, the embodiment of Mahabhav. When all three components, pure eternal existence, Sat, full knowledge, Chit, and unlimited bliss, are manifest in one combined form, then the identity of that form is Sri Radha Kanta, the basis and entirety of Sat, Chit, and Ananda, and the beloved of Srimati Radhika. This very identity is himself, the sublimely pure existential substance, Vishuddha Sattva. And you notice when Srila Gurudev names that Krishna, he's not just saying this form of Satchidananda is Krishna, he calls him Radha Kanta, always in relationship to Srimati Radhika, because Krishna doesn't exist separate from Radhika. Where does Chit and Samvit and Ananda or Ladini come from? Radhika is the embodiment of that energy. And Krishna is the complete form of those combined energies, but they are inseparable and at the same time distinct. It's very extraordinary conception. Very extraordinary conception. So this very entity is himself the sublimely pure existential substance, Vishuddha Sattva. Sri Krishna is the object, the Vishaya of all rasas, all loving sentiments, and his devotees, the Ashraya, are the abodes of love for him. As the object of love, he cannot comprehend the topmost transformations exhibited by his devotees, the abodes of love for him, when they experience their various moods, such as Rudha and Adhirudha. Rudha and Adhirudha are very high stages of Mahabhav. Therefore, Sri Krishna accepts the form of Sri Satchinandana Gaudahari and becomes radiant with the mood and body complexion of Sri Radha, the supreme abode of love for Krishna. In that form, he fulfills his three longings. Right? And there's a footnote for that. And you know, you've heard this, these three longings. This is in the very beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's elaborated in the 7th chapter, but it's mentioned earlier as well. Desiring to know the glory of Radharani's love for him, what it is in him that makes her, this is got the 7th chapter, the 7th verse of the 1st chapter, when the first 7 verses are describing Mahaprabhu, his tattva, then 5 verses for Nityananda, then 2 for Advaitacharya. So this is the secret of Mahaprabhu's identity. Desiring to know the glory of Radharani's love for him, what it is in him that makes her maddened with love, and the nature of the pleasure she experiences by loving him, Bhagavan Sri Hari, fully resplendent with her emotions, appeared from Srimati Shachi Devi's womb, just as the moon appeared from the ocean. So the glory of the love of the devotee, which astonishes him, because the ideas of Vishaya and Ashraya, they're both components of Vibhav. And Vibhav is that which causes one to taste rasa. So when the Ashraya and Vishaya, these are the alambana, the support. So one part of the support is the object of love, and the other is in whom that love is reposed. So for the gopis, Krishna is the object of their love, and they are the reservoirs, the shelter, the vessels of that love. But for Krishna, the gopis are the object of his love, and he is a vessel or the reservoir of love for them. And thus they both taste rasa. But Krishna could only taste the position of the Vishaya, right? He is the object of love for all the devotees of Braj. And he sees that they're experiencing a kind of pleasure which he can't comprehend. There are many statements about that. And so then he develops these kinds of desires. What is the nature of that love that Radhika has that's so amazing, that causes such transformations in her, right? And how does she see him? What is it, what trying to see through her eyes? He knows what he looks like when he sees himself in the mirror, but it doesn't cause him to have those same feelings that she has. So what does she see? How does she see him? How does she perceive his beauty, right? And what is the nature of that experience that she has? So the position of the devotee, how the devotee sees Krishna, and the pleasure that she experiences, the happiness she feels, right? So, in many places throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, the sweetness of Sri Krishna's beautiful form, his roop, has been described. However, among all of them, 3 specific descriptions are extraordinarily wonderful and touch the heart. The first description was spoken by Sri Brahma, the grandfather of the universe. This is in the 14th chapter, when he's offering prayers to Krishna after he was defeated trying to hide the cowherd boys, right? Namodyate bravapuseta didambaraya gunjavatangsa paripichala sanmukaya vanye sajay kavalaveta vishanavenu lakshmashiye mridupade pashupangajaya. That's the first verse of that chapter. O Master, in the entire universe, only you are worthy of being praised. O Brajendra Nandan, son of the king of Braj, your body appearing like a fresh rain cloud is adorned with a yellow cloth that glistens like lightning and appears amazingly brilliant. Because you are wearing makara-shaped earrings and a peacock feather on your head, your lotus face radiates an uncommon splendor. Around your neck is a garland made of innumerable kinds of forest flowers and leaves. Tucked under your arm are a cane and a buffalo horn. Your flute, which is tied with your waist belt, looks very beautiful. In your lovely soft hands is a morsel of yogurt and rice. Even you are attracted by this cowherd boy attire of yours. I simply fall to the ground like a stick, again and again at your feet, which are softer than lotuses and which are marked with all the auspicious signs. This morning, Chaitanya Maharaj was talking about how many of the demigods are not really fully realized in the Bhagavan conception. They are understanding up to Brahman. Now, that's not the principal demigods. Obviously, there are some that are principal, like Agni and Indra and others, and Brahma, Shiva. They're great devotees, and they're tasked, therefore, with very high responsibility in the administration of the universe and the protection of Dharma and the devotees. But even they can become bewildered. And their bewilderment, Krishna engages that in his own pastimes. So he actually instigated the bewilderment of Lord Brahma. And now Lord Brahma is giving this incredible prayer based on his own position and adhikar. He's definitely perceiving all of the beauty of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, his beautiful clothing, everything, is being a cowherd boy. He's recognizing and stunned by that beauty, but he's not entered into the relationship of the inhabitants of Braj, right? He's favorable. He's inclined towards Srimati Radhika, Srila Gurudev says. And he's a Mahabhagavat, but there's even that, there's gradations, right? Gradations. But he is the original guru of the universe, and we descend through that sampradaya, Gurudev says, largely because of his inclination towards Radhika, right? His favorable. So, the next one is spoken by the wives of the Brahmanas of Mathura. They had an attraction, but they're living next door. They're also not Brajbasis. They aspire to be Brajbasis. They know of the gopis. They glorify the gopis. They wish they had that relationship. So when Krishna knew that, and so he arranged that they wander with the cows near to where they were staying and cooking for a big sacrifice that their husbands were going to do, and then requested food, that pastime. And the brahmanas rejected, but the wives, they rejected the rejection of their husbands and brought it anyway. And they were so filled with love. And they said this. They have a different vision. Shamam hiranya paridim vanamalya barha datu pravala natavesha manavratangse vinyasta hasta mitarena dunanam abjam karnot palaka kapalo mukabjahasam. His complexion was dark bluish, like a fresh monsoon rain cloud, and the glistening yellow cloth that was draped on his shoulders subdued the splendor of gold. When you hear this, you get more of the sense of Krishna, the object of love for the females, his incredible heroic beauty as the best of males is being reflected in this verse. His dress, his complexion in a very special way. There was a garland of forest flowers around his neck, and a beautiful peacock feather splendidly adorned his head. Playful designs were painted on his limbs with colored minerals, and he had decorated himself with bunches of newly sprouted leaves. He looked just like a dramatic dancer. He was resting one hand on the shoulder of his friend, and with the other hand he was playfully twirling a lotus flower. Ornaments decorated his ears, and curls of black hair were cascading down his cheeks as his lotus face blossomed with a playful, mild smile. Here, Krishna's taking a very different pose. When Lord Brahma, he was standing before Lord Brahma as the object of his worship. Here, he's very casually and artfully resting with a friend. He has his hand on the friend's shoulder and he's twirling a lotus. The hand on the shoulder represents, he's conveying to them by that, I would like at some point to put my hand on your shoulder. Right? And twirling the heart, the lotus represents their heart. And I am capturing and playing with your heart. Right? I want to enter into the lotus of your heart. He's beguiling them and calling to them to increase their love and prema. Ultimately, they didn't have the highest qualification yet. They had to go back to Mathura when he told them to go and continue to develop. And yet, still, very, very high, very high. And then the third description is Venugit. In Venugit, that's the 21st chapter, when the gopis sang about Sri Krishna's flute. And this was spoken by Sri Shukadev Goswami, speaking their words. Here he is describing the sweetness of Sri Krishna's beautiful form as revealed in the hearts of the Braja Gopis. Vahapidam natavada vapukanayo kanikaram vibradvasa kanaka kapisham vajayantim chamalam Randran Venuradara Supaya Purayan Gopa Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. That's from the 5th verse. So, within their hearts, the damsels of Braj began to see that Sri Krishna entered the charming forest of Vrindavan, accompanied by his cowherd boyfriends. A peacock feather decorated the top of his head, and yellow karnikara, which is oleander flowers, were resting above his ears. He wore a golden yellow garment on his body, and a beautiful fragrant garland strung from 5 kinds of forest flowers circled his neck and hung down to his knees. Sri Krishna appeared like the best of dancers, performing a supremely captivating drama upon a stage. He filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, as the cowherd boys followed behind him, singing his glories, which purify the entire world. In this way, the forest of Vrindavan, which is more charming than the divine realm of Vaikuntha, has become even more splendid from the impressions of his adorable lotus feet, which are marked with all the auspicious symbols like the conch shell and the disc. Okay, so here you can see so many other elements that are in the mind of the gopis. What are they noticing? When Krishna's going out with the cowherd boys, he knows the gopis are going to be there. He purposely goes to those places where they're going to be, and by his association with them, he's indicating to his beloved Brajadevi that, I want to be with you. He's playing his flute. He's dancing. What these flowers above his ears, he wears flowers of different kinds, and sometimes on one ear, sometimes on the other. These are all messages he's conveying. Oh, we will meet here. We will meet there. Each of them is a sign. Each of them is a message, right? And as we heard earlier, when we were reading the Brajmandal Parikram book, that every gesture, every movement is filled with ras. And so when Krishna's with his cowherd boys, it's there for the purpose of putting him in the environment near where the gopis are and sending signals to them about his eagerness to be with them and making them eager to be with him by seeing him in such an incredible display. The best of dancers, supremely captivating drama upon a stage, filling up the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, his Ardhanamrita, right? And the cowherd boys singing his glories. And so the forest of Vrindavan, which is so charming, more charming than anywhere in Vaikuntha, it becomes even more splendid because everywhere are the impressions of his lotus feet. So there'll be another description which comes in the 29th chapter, the first chapter of the Ras Panchajayi, the 5 chapters of the Rasa Lila. And we'll start with that tomorrow. Okay, so we'll stop here. Okay, see what an incredible introduction Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj is giving to all of this, to create a framework, a reference for people. Sanatana Goswami, he's speaking to one kind of audience. Generally, his audience is Vaishnavas, educated Vaishnavas, intelligent persons, right? Srila Narayana Maharaj, following in the footsteps of our Srila Prabhupada, is speaking in a way to bring people with no background into these deeper subject matters. And even people such as us can become attracted and develop a great taste for all of this. It's quite extraordinary. We're really fortunate.
So are the demigods, is their post like eternal, or do they ever get a chance to like enter into Vrindavan?
Well, before Krishna appeared, he sent a message to Lord Brahma that the demigods should take birth in Mathura, in Vrindavan, in the outlying provinces, and take birth to participate in his pastimes, right? And again, there's gradations of demigods too.
And also, like Lord Brahma, like the jiva sometimes takes that post.
Well, all the demigods are jivas.
Oh, they're all jivas.
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of them are conditioned jivas.
Okay.
Right? So, all right. So we'll stop here. But they're, in a very high position, very high seva. But you can see sometimes they struggle. Sometimes they struggle. But it's a lesson to us. As a lesson to us. All right, so we'll stop here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Gurudev, all glories to the assembled devotees.